Hi everyone, it's Maud here, and this is your intro to my Feel It series, which is the 15 minutes of yoga for 15 days series. It's pretty exciting, and I am pretty excited. I just wanted to take the time to do this intro because, as you guys know, yoga classes or yoga practices typically start with a breathing exercise and end with a shavasana or a resting pose. But since we only have 15 minutes, I invite you guys to hit that pause button, spend a little bit more time breathing at the start if that's what your body needs. When you breathe, just make sure as you inhale that you really feel an expansion in the rib cage, your belly, your chest area, even, and you really sort of take that air in, feeling that expansion right here. And as you exhale, know what it feels like to come back to home base. So as you inhale through the nose, it's expansion. And as you exhale, whether it's the mouth or through the nose, it doesn't matter. Home base is like the key word. Expansion on the inhale, coming back to home base on the exhale. And at the end of every class, if you want to end it with Shavasana, lay on your back, spread your legs, relax your arms to the side, and just make sure that you hit the pause button. Spend as much time as you want in that Shavasana pose. And then when you're done, then you're done. So we have the 15 minutes of the yoga practice, and whatever you want to do at the start and the end is totally up to you. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy your practice. See ya. Hi everyone, welcome to your Feel Balanced class. In this class, we will be doing only neutral, symmetrical poses. And so I urge you to notice any imbalances that you're feeling in your body, and you're just doing the best you can to get the most out of these symmetrical poses, these neutral poses. Please get on your backs. So I want you to spend some time here grounding the feet down and maybe fixing your hair like I am. All right. Lengthen your spine down towards the mat. Soften the back of the neck, and you can just place your hands on your ribs here. Knees maybe hip width apart. Elbows relax. Just spend a couple of moments here. Again, noticing if there's a sit bone, a part of the body that feels a little bit more lifted from the earth than the other. Just acknowledge those little imbalances, those little asymmetries that we're feeling without any judgment. And then open the arms to the side. You can have them in cactus shape, whichever feels comfortable. And then start to squeeze your glutes together into this glute bridge, keeping the softness in your neck, and then slowly lower. We're going to do this a couple more times. As you lift up, just notice which glute is easier to fire, which glute is a little bit lazier, perhaps, which part of your lower back touches the ground right away or faster as you lower down. And I'm not forcing you to make sure that you feel even and that you have to feel balanced 100%. That's just unachievable stuff. But I call this class Feeling Balanced because I want you to acknowledge your little imbalances, little quirks here, unique characteristics of the body, and you just do the best you can to sort of acknowledge that and feel sort of good about it. And you accept it, you embrace it, then move on. One more time in this glute bridge. Inhale. And then exhale, slowly lower. Send the knees towards your chest. Hands towards the knees. Send the knees rocking towards your chest for now. So we typically rock forward and back right away. But for here, let's rock the knees towards the chest and then release. Notice how this feels like in the lower back. Somehow for me, I feel like the left side of my lower back wants to kind of just lift off of the mat right away. And that's just my feeling. Maybe you have the same experience, maybe you don't. And then cross at the ankles, and then we're gonna rock forward and back. Yeah. Forward and back, just like that. One more time. And then slowly come to center. Grab a block or a blanket and sit on top of it like supported hero pose. And as you're here, I want you guys to feel length in the spine as you're seated in this pose. Hands on top of the lap and find the time to really lengthen the spine. Find the space in here. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Come into a high kneeling position. Lift your arms up. So behind me, the block is being clipped by my heel. Squeeze your glutes together. And as you exhale, slowly lower down. See, it's always my left side that just kind of resists to ground down right away. Inhale. Squeeze the glutes. Exhale, slowly lower down. There's that bad boy. One more time. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, sit down. Beautiful. Interlace your fingers together and lift up. Palms face the ceiling and then come into that high kneeling position. Now with the arms up, slowly sit down. Notice which booty wants to touch the ground first. And if you're like, Maud, I don't know what you're talking about. I feel pretty equal. Good for you. That's okay. Slowly come down. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. One more. And exhale down. Nice job. Shake the arms, shake the wrists. All right, send your hands towards the lap. And as we inhale, just open the chest, send it forward, lift the heart, and look up. As you exhale, push your mid back towards the wall behind you, round it out, and tuck your chin towards your chest. Inhale forward and up. Exhale back and down. 2 more times. Inhale slow as you go. Exhale. 1 more time. Inhale. And then exhale, even in the breath. Whew. Nice job. Slowly come up. I'm going to show this on the side. Keep the block where it is because you might need it later on. For now, I'm just going to keep it clipped between my ankles. That's okay. But I want you to tuck your toes under. We're going to get into this camel pose. Hands on the lower back. I want you to take the time to really open those shoulders up, elbows towards each other. Squeeze your glutes. And instead of thrusting your hips forward, just open up the hips, open up the chest. You can look up towards the space where the wall and the ceiling meet, or you can just look forward. Hips are open, glutes are awake. And then exhale, slowly come to center. You can sit your booty down, keeping your toes tucked if you want. Let's do that one more time. Camel pose, hands on the lower back. Some people like it with the fist. That's okay. Find your own grip. Find what works for you. Open the shoulders, elbows towards each other. Lengthen tailbone, squeeze glutes, and then hips forward without thrusting them. Inhale. And then exhale. Beautiful. Come to center. And then slowly get that block behind you to the front right here. We're going to come into a downward facing dog, but I want you to rest your forehead on top of the block. If you don't have the block, don't sweat it. Hands down on the mat. Send this block underneath the chest. And as you come to a downward facing dog, just rest your head on top of that block. Feet can be hip width apart, hands can be shoulder width apart. Bend one leg at a time to kind of just pedal in this downward dog. And in this down dog, you're making an inverted letter V shape or a big letter A shape with the tailbone as the top of that alphabet. And so you take the time to lengthen the spine. Now, the reason I have the block underneath your head is even in down dog, we tend to kind of like sway the head. So maybe you feel like one side of the forehead is touching the block, then the other, or maybe not. So it's just for information, not judgment at all. Do 2 more pedals and then get into your downward facing dog. Last bend. And then down dog right here. So just notice. Like I said, the block is just information.
Lengthening the spine. You can soften the knees anytime. Beautiful. Inhale. Exhale. Spread the palms. Inhale, shift forward into your plank. Nice job. Squeeze the booty. Try not to lift your hips back. Yeah. Keep your booty down and humble. And then slowly plant your knees down. Keep the block where it is. Bend at the elbows, untuck the toes, and sort of like this block is giving you feedback on your belly. So right now with the block, again, this left side, man, I feel like the left side wants to peel away from the block, while my right side is kind of like, okay, block, I can rest on top of you. So there is some resistance on my left side. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you feel pretty even, that's okay. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze the glutes. And then slowly tuck the toes under. Send the hips back. Keep the toes tucked. Walk your hands back. Remove the block out of the way. Plant your forehead down. It's like a toes tucked child's pose with your elbows lifted off the mat. Next, inhale, slither through the front. Come into your back bend, whether that's upward facing dog or cobra. Cobra means hips and knees are on the mat and your arms are bent. Upward facing dog, the knees and hips are off the mat and the arms are a little bit long. Totally up to you what you want. Exhale, shift the hips back. Inhale, shift forward. Find your back bend or heart opener. Untuck the toes, squeeze the glutes. Exhale, push back. All symmetrical experiences. But you may not have a symmetrical experience even as you're doing these symmetrical shapes. So just acknowledge that. One more time, just forward and back. And then exhale, slide back. Walk your hands in towards the knees. And then keeping your toes tucked, you can plant your hands behind you on a block or on the mat. And if this is just hard, please grab your blocks, all right? Roll your shoulders back, open the heart, and then look towards the space again where the ceiling and the wall meet. Now, feel your left and your right booty behind you. Which one feels a little bit more glued towards the heels? Inhale. Exhale. One more time, inhale. And then exhale, slowly walk the hands forward, coming into camel. Once again, we've been here before. You can do the same kind of camel where the hands on your lower back, or if your toes are tucked, and you can reach behind the heels with no problem while keeping your hips forward. We'll do that option. If this is just not in the cards, please go back to hands on your lower back. Chest is open, shoulders back, squeeze the glutes, look forward, look at a place where your neck does not feel taxed or strained. Inhale, exhale, hands in the lower back. Slowly have a seat, and then come into a wide-legged seated pose. Looking at your legs. Which one feels a little bit more open than the other? Again, no judgments right here. Feel free to sit on a blanket just to lift your hips above your knees. Inhale right here. Hands are in front of you. And as you exhale, slowly fold forward while keeping your sit bones back. Even here, notice which foot tends to go in or out. You can relax the feet. You can pull the toes towards you. Whatever feels good. Inhale. Exhale. Fold at the elbows. Bend at the elbows and fold. Slowly come up. Let the hands help your knees. Send the feet kissing each other. We're going to get into cobbler pose or Baddha Konasana. You can definitely put the blocks underneath the knees if that feels good for you, if that feels more supportive for you. That's an option. Hands on your knees. Inhale to rise. And then exhale again. Find your fold. While you're here and
you just kind of feel like giving yourself a massage, and your feet are there, very accessible. You can just massage your arches with your thumbs, the tops of the feet, the bottom. You can even peel the feet open. Otherwise, you can also just rest your hands. All right. If you can rest your elbows down, rest your elbows down. If you want the blocks on top of the legs, so you can rest your elbows here, you can do that as well, whichever option feels good. Inhale here. Lift the heart. Exhale. Find your fold. You don't have to kiss the feet. Even though I can, I'm not going to do it because it's not going to serve me today. It's just not something that I need. If you want to do that, go ahead and do so. Deep breaths here. Inhale. And then exhale. Slowly come to center. And then send your feet in front of you and then walk them a little bit closer. Hands behind you. One last pose here. We're going to get into a reverse tabletop. So as you inhale, slowly lift your hips up. Squeezing at the booty. Opening your shoulders. Exhale. You can sit your butt down for a little bit of rest. One more time. Inhale, reverse tabletop. Exhale, slowly lower. One more time if you want. Squeezing the booty. Exhale, lower. Come back into your seated pose, your hero pose. Always finding this nice and symmetrical poses. That's a good check. Hands to heart center here. And then let's circle the arms up towards the sky. Palms touch each other. Exhale, hands to heart center. Take a nice small bow towards your hands, towards yourself. Thank you so much for sharing your practice. I hope this was a good barometer for you, a good indicator of just things that you feel kind of unique to yourself and the biases tilting to one side over the other or favoring one side over the other. And just no judgment. Thank you, guys. I hope you feel a little bit more balanced today. I appreciate you. Namaste. Thanks. And goodbye. See you next time.